In this video, I'm going to show you how to get started with Visual Studio Code and show you some of the tips and tricks for increasing your productivity of using VS Code. And so let's get started. First of all, let's open Visual Studio Code. If you have not installed this one on your computer, you can follow my previous tutorial. If you go to my YouTube channel, so software design, and the first one here I will show you how to install. So because in this course we are going to use Visual Studio Code a lot to develop Python package, so I want to make sure that you are familiar with the Visual Studio Code and also how to use that more efficiently, so you can install that. It should be very easy and straightforward to install. And then I'm going to show you some of the common extensions that I personally use, and also some keyboard shortcuts. You can go to my blog. So if you go to my blog, it's the new one that I just posted, Visual Studio Code tips and tricks. And so we're going to go through this list in this video. Okay, so open Visual Studio Code. You can just go to your start menu or just search just type VI, and then you should be able to find this one. Then just hit open. By default, it's going to open the previous project. Let me just close everything so that we can start from scratch. So I'm going to close window. Sorry, it should be close project. So, or it might be just a folder, a temporary file. So if you close, then it's automatically close the project. So now we have an empty one. And from here, on the left here, these are some of the menus. So Visual Studio Code is just a text editor, but you can use that for many programming languages. For example, the most common one is probably Python, but you can do a lot more other languages. You can also do R. You can also do Markdown. You can it's just very flexible. So, and we're going to use this one primarily for doing Python, but we also use that to edit and create Markdown for the Python package. So, and first of all, I just want to show you some example that you can just to clone a GitHub repo so that we can get started. So first of all, you can go to on the left side here. Once you install the package, and if you already install Git on your computer, then if you click, for example, source control, the third button, and then you will say open a folder or clone a repository. So I'm just going to click clone repository. So from this one, you can clone anyone from my GitHub. So I'm just going to open my browser, and then I'm going to go to my GitHub repo. So if you don't know this one, you can just go to for example gmap.org, and then click here GitHub icon upper right corner. So this is the GitHub repo, and we are going to use this one as an example because later in this course I'm going to show you how to actually develop a package like this. I'll show you some of the things that I have done for this package, so you can develop something similar, or you can for other purposes. I'm going to show you the entire process. So in this video, I'm just going to show you how we can use this with Visual Studio Code. So click the button and then click copy. Come back to Visual Studio Code, and from here, once you click clone repository, just paste the link, and then you can hit enter. Once you hit enter, it's going to ask you where you want to save this repository. So you can save to any location you like. I'm just going to maybe click documents. And then within here, maybe I have a GitHub folder, for example. Under my GitHub folder, I'm going to just select here, so set repository location. So basically, we are going to clone the repo to this folder. So once it's done, we can come back to here, take a look. So you'll be under the documents, GitHub. As you can see, it's already downloaded, right? So this is basically the folder. Then we can just open, go to documents, and then GitHub. So now we can open the folder. So just select folder and then open. So this is right now, you can see from the window on the left side here. So this is the file browser. You can look at all the files that are associated with this repo. It's the same like just you see that from here. This is basically everything is the same. So we're just going to walk for, using this one. Then to go through one by one. There are a lot of files within this repo, but we are not going to use every file right now. I'm just going to show you some quick things that you can do using Visual Studio Code. So I'm going to move my window maybe to the left, and then I'm going to use my browser on the right. So I'm going to show you here some of the going through the list one by one. First, let's take a look at some of the extensions. In the first video here, I already show you some of the extensions, but I'm going to just quickly go through some of those so that you are familiar with. Certainly there are a lot more extensions out there, but this is something that I use personally very often, so I think they are very useful. If you want to install any extension, click on the left side here. It's list icon, so the extensions icon. Once you click from here, you should be able to see if you already install some extensions, you should be able to see that from the list in here. If it doesn't, you can just search for any extension, right? For example, when after you first install a Visual Studio Code, it's just a text editor. You cannot use to do programming. You cannot do debugging. So in this case, we are using Python. So you just type Python and then hit enter. It should show you a list of all the extensions associated with Python programming language. And if you click the first one, since we already installed this one, right? So you don't need to install. But anything that you see an icon here says install, that means you can install something to this. You're welcome to explore and see which one is useful for you. But if you see here, Python 31 million downloads. So this is pretty much, I think, the most popular extension for Visual Studio Code. You can search for other extensions. So also this one, Kite autocomplete. So I personally use this one a lot. It's also very powerful. Basically, you use artificial intelligence to autocomplete your code. So you can just basically type a few characters, and then sometimes you can autocomplete the entire line of code based on what you type. Okay, so I'm gonna just remove, and then from here I'm just going to show you the list of shortcuts, but you are welcome to explore other extensions. So for example, Jupyter. So this is going through by alphabetical order, right? The second one is Jupyter, and also the Markdown shortcuts. This one is a must-have because later when we develop the package, we want to develop some documentation and API reference. This one will be very handy. It will basically increase your productivity a lot. Also, the materials, the icon theme, this one is also very nice. Right now, if you click here, so if you see these icons, so these are all the material icon theme from the so it looks much better. If you don't install that one, the icon might not look this nice. Okay, so just let you know. And then the prettier. So the prettier, basically it can make your source code look better. So sometimes you might have a lot of lines, and then this one basically auto formatted for you, both for Markdowns and also for Python and JavaScript. So it's a very nice extension. Also the PyLens. So this is also one developed by Microsoft. It's also some kind of artificial intelligence. You can also use this one. Also the other one here, Visual Studio Code IntelliCode. These are all something very similar, but you can try out, see which one you like best. And so this one also Python docstring generator. This one I use a lot because when you develop a package, it's always not required, but it's always nice to have documentation or API reference for all the functions and classes you develop. So this one will save you a lot of time because it can quickly create those template or the doc string for you, so that you can later use that to automatically extract the help documentation from the functions and then to build a website. So for today, we're not going to use every one of these extensions, but later in this course we're going to use a lot. So when I introduce that one, we let you know. But for now, these are some of the common extensions that I use. So I highly recommend that you install some of these to increase your productivity. Okay, so that's the first person extensions. Next, I'm going to show you some of the common shortcuts that I use that are also very useful. So first, let me close this one and then go to the file explorer. Let me move this one a little bit. Okay, so if you haven't opened anything here, by default, this is the main window. So this is where you're going to write source code, and it shows you here show all commands, right? Control Shift P. If you're using Mac, Control is basically the command button. So if you see from my list, so this is the first one, Control Shift P. So if you put hit Control Shift P on your keyboard, it's going to bring up the list. So in this way, you see all the commands that you can execute. So for example, if you go like this is a very long list, including all the file extensions, the extensions that you install. If some of those extensions comes with some keyboard shortcuts or a command, you can all see from here. So this is basically you can think about it just like on Windows, you have a command window, and then you can just type a command to execute stuff. This is the same idea, but it also has a lot of shortcuts, so that you can see from the shortcuts. Let me maybe just open one document just to show you. For example, let me open this one, mkdocs YML, right? And they say again Control Shift P, and to open this one, so you can see add cursor or like copy line up or copy line down. So if they say I want maybe how about this one, maybe just the repo URL. If I put my cursor here and then just Control Shift P, you can scroll down, for example, copy line down. So let me just put this one, and you see from right now, it's very simple, copy one line down and up. You can hit Control G to remove that one. So this is basically everything. You can export this once you get familiar with how to use the command, but it's very handy. Okay, next one, search and open a file. So Control P. If you, let's say, let me close this one, and they say in my my repo, I have a lot of files in here, and if you see, right, I have more than like couple hundred files in here. Sometimes it might take time to navigate, like where is the file located. You might not know exactly where it is located. If you want, you can just Control P. So once you type Control P, then you can search files by name. So they say I remember that I have a file, a tutorial called maybe, they say legend, legend, right? And once you type the legend, you will see, oh, you have a Markdown, you have a Python document, you also have a lot of tutorial, right? Or a Jupyter notebook. So maybe I was looking for this one, only just click, right? And then it opened the notebook on here within Visual Studio Code. You can then execute going through one by one. You can just hit trust, so they can execute, and then you will navigate to here. But if you don't use this one, sometimes it might take a while for you to actually to find out where it is located, because you just have a lot of files in here. So this is the nice way that you can search a file. Maybe you can try, I can try the other one. Okay, Control P, I can type like Kato EE, right? Kato EE is a module of the Python pack, the GMap package that allows you to do some cartography, make some nice maps from Google's engine. So if you just type this one, then you can navigate through, and then you just click, you can click any file. For example, you can click this one, and you will navigate here. So this is a nice shortcut that you can quickly find a file and navigate to the file. Okay, so next they say the other one is go to symbol. So go to symbol, what does that mean? In a programming language, you have a lot of variables, you have classes, you have functions that you define, and there might be a lot here sometimes within a file. And if you want to go to a specific one, you need to like navigate, and you need to find out, like you need to navigate the entire file. Sometimes it might be too much. So they say, let me go to this one, common.py. If you scroll down, I see how many lines of code. Okay, so this one is 6,000, almost 7,000, more than 7,000 lines of code. and you have a lot of functions, you have also have a lot of variables, you have a lot of stuff. If you need to like navigate through to find the functions you need, it sometimes might take a while. So there's a shortcut, Control Shift O. Once you type Control Shift O, you will see here, wow, this is the list. So all the variables, all the functions, everything that you want to find, it's actually here. So let me see, for example, I want to find, maybe if I remember correctly, there's a function called maybe EE export. So I want to export a vector or export image, right? There's a function, they say EE export image, right? And then just click, you will navigate to this one, pinpoint to the function. So save you time that without having to go through manually. So this is how you can find a function. You can also find a variable, Control Shift O. And for example, there are lots of variables in there. You can just select anyone, for example, a random string, right? There are lots of random strings in here. So you can find functions, you can find classes, you can find variables. Okay, next one, move line up and down. So you can move line up and down using the Alt and arrow key. If I go to this one here, and they say, for example, for this line, import EE. Okay, I want to move this one somewhere up. So you might just want to maybe copy and paste and then move up and down. That's not the best way. So all you need to do, just put your cursor somewhere in this line and then hit Alt and up. If you want to move up, right? And you will see here, up, and then down, just press the Alt key and then just up and down, the arrow key. Then you can move it to anywhere. You can always move down here to anywhere you like. Also, not just for one line, you can select multiple lines. So in here, if I select 3 lines, I can move them up. Okay, so this is the shortcut for moving lines up and down. Next one, go to line number. So the shortcut is Control G. You can just keyboard on your control, hit Control G on your keyboard, and then you can type a specific line number. So they say maybe 1000, because if you know that where the function is located, if you remember the line number, and then you can just type this one easily to navigate through. So for example, and then just hit enter, you come back to here. So next one, cut the entire line. So this is, let me go to the top here, and maybe if you decide that, okay, so this line is no longer needed, you can just, you don't actually have to, you can also select the entire line and then Control X, but actually you don't have to select anything. All you need to do is just to put your cursor somewhere, for example at the end, and then Control X. So it will automatically, for example, if I Control X multiple times, it's going to automatically cut the entire line, and then you can move to somewhere else, then just Control V. So you can paste those lines back in here. So I'm just going to Control G to undo what I did. And next one, Markdown preview. So Markdown, if you, let me maximize, and then I can maybe open a Markdown file here under the docs folder, and maybe this one, index.md. So if you see, this is the Markdown. We are going to use Markdown a lot in this course, but for now I'm just going to quickly show you how you can preview, because Markdown, this is just the text. If you want to see how the render, how to render the Markdown, you can just Control K and then release Control and then press V. So Control K and then V. It will show that one here on the right. So this is what it's going to show up on your GitHub account, and but this might, sometimes it might not look exactly the same. If you want it to be rendered by Markdown, there's also another Python package that you can install. It's called grep. So if you want to install, for example, any additional packages to your conda environment, you can click this one here and then click terminal. So the terminal basically is the Windows terminal, and by default it's going to oh, it's not recognized, so we might actually need to initialize the conda command. So for now it's not activated yet. We probably do that next time, but you can install some additional packages to the repo if you want. Okay, so this is how you can preview a markdown. So Control K and V. Okay, what's the next one? Zen mode. So Zen mode basically is a no distraction mode. If you right now if you're coding and then you want to be focused on what you are doing, you can just hide everything else. So let me just click this one here, just to remove this one, and you can go to View, Appearance, Zen mode. So you can see this also has a shortcut Control K and G. We can just Control K and G. Now you will see here, this is just the Zen mode, so there's no distraction. You're just writing code and everything else is gone. So there's no taskbar or anything popping up. You can hit Escape twice to go back to the normal view mode. So again, Control K, G, Zen mode. So distraction, no distraction. Double Escape to return to the original normal one. And next one, split view. So if you have multiple files, sometimes you want to, like for example here we have 4 files open. If you want to go side by side, you can do that as well. You can go to View and then from here Editor Layout, Split Right. If you click Split Right, it's going to open the same file and then open another copy on the right, so it'll be side by side. You can, let me just close this one. You can also click the button here, upper right corner. This is also a split editor, so you're just going to click this one and to the right, it's the same. You can also do that for split this one up and down. So again, go to Editor Layout and then split down, so it's going to like do that horizontally. So you have this. Sometimes if you have a long document and you have some function that share some commonality, you want to copy and paste, so you can put this one on top and have another one at the bottom. In this way you can just copy and paste, so you can go through the same document, but it doesn't have to be the same document. You can also do that for different documents. So this is sometimes very handy that you can, it depends on your screen. You can, if you have a wide screen, you can maybe split to the right, but you can also do multiple, right? Not just 2, you can do, for example, 4 or more than 4 documents all together. So very handy. Okay, next one, edit multiple lines simultaneously. So hold Alt and click the cursor somewhere that you want to add. So let me see, for example, let's go to documents in here, or somewhere, anywhere you like. Maybe let's try this one. Maybe try a markdown will be better. Okay, so in a markdown, like 1, 2, 3, you can go to the cursor, right? I can put my cursor somewhere at the beginning. And then you need to hit Alt. This one might not work. Let me go back to this one here. And so for example, I'm going to add anything here. Let's say I want to change the variable here, that long, and the zoom to something else. I can put my cursor and then Alt and then another Alt. So if you right now you see the cursor, actually I have two lines in here. So if I add anything to at the beginning, so where maybe say new underscore, you will see now you have 2. Basically you can edit multiple lines together. You can insert new characters or variables to something there, that you can do that all at once, so you don't have to go through one by one. Sometimes, for example, especially in the case like this, self doc something, so there's also something very similar. So if you would forget to add that, for example, I can say layer equal to none, and then maybe a count equal to none. But if you're supposed to actually add self doc something at the beginning, then you can put your cursor here somewhere at the beginning and then Alt key and then just type self doc, right? So in this way You don't have to copy and paste, so basically much easier and faster. Okay, so I think this all for the shortcuts that we have. But also I can show you some of the shortcuts for Markdown. This is especially especially helpful if you are doing a lot of Markdown documents. So, but first you need to install the extension, so the Markdown shortcuts. Once you install this one, then you can use all the shortcuts that to make your coding much more faster. So let me go to the Markdown. You can click here, you can take a look at some of the shortcuts in here. But we can also do that, like for example, I have a lot of these, let's say I have 58 tutorials, right? If this right now, first you can hit Control K and V to preview, right? So you have 1 and all the way 1 to 56. How about this? I just want to change to bullet points. I don't want the number. Can you do that? Yes. So I can just simply go to select at the beginning, and then move down your cursor to the end of this 58. Then you can right click, and from here you can just toggle, for example, bullet points. It's going to change the bullet point, but still you keep the number still there. So Control K and V, and now you will see this one. So this is not a base case. Base case usually is once you, like, I can say do something like blah 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 blah, and then all you need to do is just select all of them. You can right click. I want to control to bullet points or number or check boxes. So you can do, for example, check boxes, and then Control K and V. You will see this. Okay, this one is does not so here. If you deploy this one to GitHub, it will be much better. Okay, and also you can do, I think the other one very useful is for hyperlink. So if you see, for example, I can put here, for example, the URL to my YouTube channel. I can just type anywhere. Let's say GitHub, right? Gmap. So you just double click, you will select this word, and then you just hit Control L. Control L is going to pop up this one here. This is where you can insert a hyperlink. But you can certainly do it manually. You can put a square brackets, and then square brackets at the end of this, and then parentheses, and then you can type. But it's much faster to use the shortcut. So just double click and then Control L. Then you can type, or you can just copy and paste, right? And gemap.org, hit enter. It's automatically insert this one. So especially if you have a document that have a lot of hyperlinks, this is the best way that you can create. And then you can Control K, V to actually see the document, right? So if you click right now, it should be able to open the hyperlink for you. So this is the shortcut for adding hyperlinks. You can also there are a lot more hyperlinks shortcuts. So if you right click, you can also toggle bold, italic, hyperlink, image, code block, inline, citation. So these are some of the things that are very commonly used. For example, I want to type, they say bold, right? If you have this too, if you just Control K and V, it's going to be just regular, right? So if you want to bold something, all you need to do is just come back to here, double click, and then Control B. It's all automatically on the right here. You can see it's updated automatically, right? Italic, double click, and then Control I. It's going to italic, right? So this is the shortcut that I use very often, especially if you want to bold something. You can do that very easily. So for example, I say video tutorials, Control B, and then on the right here, you see this one is updated right now. So this is how you can add something to a source to the Markdown. You can also do source code. For example, import gemap or import, right, OS. If you want to control this one to where it is. Now if you see this one here, it's just like simple text. If you want to control this one to source code, you can right click and then use this one, toggle code block or inline code. So code block means that you want to add the triple codes in here. So on the right here, right now you see this one. Let me move the empty space, and you will see this one right now. is displayed as a code block. But if you want some inline code, let's say just like what I did earlier, like control CTRL, control P, for example, right? If you want to put this one not just like regular, you want to show it like something like a code block, you can right click and then control toggle inline code. So right here, you can see the color is changed. So this is something also very similar to what I show you here on my block, right? If you see this, like you can see the gray background. These are all using this one. So it's inline code. Behind the scene, it's actually like this. This is the same because this one is a markdown. So all the bold here, when I was editing the this document, this block, these are all using Control B to create, and then this one is Control M and then I. So again, let me show you here. Maybe this one. If you click here, Control M and Control I, right? So double click, Control M, Control I, and then it changes to code block. So very easy to do. So certainly, if the more you use these shortcuts, the more comfortable and the more intuitive it will become once you use it a lot. Okay, so this is how you can edit the markdown. We're going to use this a lot more later in this course after we develop the package. And we need to develop the API documentation. Then we revisit some of these shortcuts in tutorials. Okay, what else? I think that's pretty much all for this tutorial. So you're welcome to check out my blog, and if you also lastly the references. So you can click here to open the PDF. You can open the Visual Studio Code. So this is from the official website. It has a lot of shortcuts in here, and in this video I only show you about 10, but there are a lot more shortcuts in here that might be very useful. If you can use all of this, you become a master of VS Code. But you only need to use some of those, and if you practice a lot more, then you can also become a master. Okay, that's all for this video. I hope to see you in my next video. Take care. Bye bye.